In one of the most drama-filled NBA Finals game we have seen in a long time, the New York Knicks have taken a 2-0 series lead heading back to Madison Square Garden. You have to feel excellent if you are a New York Knicks fan, and especially not just because you have a 2-0 series lead, but because a lot of the trends we've seen throughout the first two games are things that I don't think the Spurs are going to be able to solve in the next week and a half to come back in this series. We have never seen a team in the NBA Finals go down 0-2 at home and go on to win that series. So at this point, it looks like the New York Knicks are in the driver's seat to be the NBA champions. And I can't wait to talk about this basketball game because we had players step up in a huge way. Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, Landry Shamet. On a night that Jalen Brunson was not playing his best basketball from an efficiency standpoint, he missed a late free throw. His teammates picked him up. And that's what makes this Knicks team so elite. And it's why they've won 13 consecutive playoff games. They haven't lost a basketball game in 43 days since April 23rd. And they are an absolute wagon in these NBA playoffs and so far in the NBA Finals. Tonight they won 105-104. And there's a lot to talk about because there's things that I don't like about how the Spurs are defending the Knicks for one and the shot selection that they're taking on the offensive end of the court. And a lot of that is huge credit to the Knicks. But the thing that Mitch Johnson and the Spurs have loved to do early in these series is focus on guarding the best opposing player, whether it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Jalen Brunson, and focusing a ton of resources in guarding that player and making sure that that player doesn't beat them, but leaving some of these other guys open for good looks, layups, putbacks, all those sorts of things. And I don't think that that's proven to work for them. In the last round against the Thunder, Alex Caruso was beating them early. Jalen Williams, not J-Dub, but Jalen Williams was hitting big shots. And it felt like those guys were really stepping up. And then when they went away from that later in the series, they were able to come back. Against the Knicks, they focused a ton on Jalen Brunson, leaving guys like Mikal Bridges. Karl Anthony Towns has been dominant through two games. And if the Spurs continue to play that way, I don't think that they have any chance to win this series because the Knicks have the best starting five in basketball. And they have good depth with Landry Shamet coming in off the bench, freaking shooting the lights out of the basketball. One of the most impressive playoff runs I've ever seen from a guy who just comes in and shoots at a high level. So let's talk about this game. It started out, the Spurs came out hot. They came out with a lot of energy. We've seen this a lot of times from the San Antonio Spurs. They start a lot of games, really aggressive, getting to the rim, getting good looks. Vassell hit a big shot. Champagnie had 8 points in the first quarter. He actually finished the game with 8 points, but he had 8 quick points, and it felt like, okay, maybe the Spurs are going to win this game and take it back to New York 1-1. You feel all right. But the thing that really stands out in that first half is Wemby's shot selection. He only shot four shots in the first half, but he is continuing to take too many shots that are either contested mid-rangers, fadeaways, or three-pointers, and that's not taking advantage of the fact that you were 7-5. And we'll get to the fourth quarter of this basketball game because that's when the drama really happened. With turnovers and missed shots and missed free throws, all that kind of stuff. We'll get to that in a second, but he's not taking advantage a lot of times of the fact that he's so tall. And, you get in the paint, you get dunks, you get alley-oops, you get putbacks. That's where you can really exploit your advantages. And I don't think that he's done that well enough in this series. He did a little better in the second half, and he ended the game. His stat line looked good. But all in all, I don't love the shot selection you see in the first half. And the Knicks going to halftime, I believe, with a 4-point lead. If my math is correct. Going to halftime with a 4-point lead. And you're feeling good about where the Knicks are, but in the third quarter, the Knicks make a run. They end the quarter 28-23, and the third quarter is very important in the NBA Finals. You come out of halftime, you see your adjustments, and at one point the Knicks were up 14 in this basketball game, and there was a huge stretch where they didn't have Jalen Brunson or I believe Karl Anthony Towns on the court, and you're kind of questioning why did Mike Brown go to that particular lineup. Karl Anthony Towns we saw being a little foul trouble, but the Knicks won those minutes by 5 points. And that is so valuable because a lot of times you see great teams when they take out their best player or, definitely their two best players, they lose those minutes heavy and their best player has to rush back in the basketball game and play tired, not get the rest, not get the rotations that they're hoping for. What was so valuable for the Knicks to win those minutes in the third quarter by 5 points. You go into the fourth quarter. The Spurs start to make a run. The Knicks punch back. The Spurs make another run. They go on a 14-0 run to take the lead with like a minute or two, with like 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, 2 or 3 minutes. And you're starting to wonder, are the Knicks going to choke this game? They're not hitting shots. Jalen Brunson didn't feel like he was having his best night. And, you feel so confident in the fourth quarter with Jalen Brunson. And the Spurs tie the basketball game with 10 seconds left. Or, 15 seconds left. The Knicks take a shot. They miss it. Spurs rebound. Victor Wembanyama grabs the rebound, and he tries to throw an outlet pass to Stephon Castle, who was not looking for the basketball at that point. The ball bounces off of him. The Knicks get a steal. They go to the free throw line. Jalen Brunson, he hits one of two free throws. But I want to focus on the turnover for a second. Just a devastating turnover by a young player in Victor Wembanyama. In that moment, the Spurs had a timeout. Victor was not being pressed. He had the ability to slow the game down. It's what you see out of young players is that they start to rush, they start to get excited. And I would have really liked to see Mitch Johnson call a timeout in that moment and allow his young players to settle down, because with 9 seconds left, the worst thing that can happen is that you miss the shot and you go into overtime. I mean, truly the worst thing that can happen is the turnover. But you feel like if we play this possession correctly, we get a shot at the basket, and we either make it or we go to overtime. Instead, Wemby rushed, throws the ball up court, turns it over. Jalen Brunson goes to the free throw line. One of the best clutch players in the NBA, in my opinion, the best clutch player in the NBA. He makes the first one, misses the second. 1 point lead. With 9 seconds left, Spurs have the ball and a chance to win it. They draw up a play. De'Aaron Fox has the basketball. Wemby sets a screen. He pops out to the right elbow. Gets a really, really good look. Mitchell Robinson did the best he could to defend it, but Wemby gets a solid look for a guy that tall, and he misses it long. Such a learning experience for a young player in Victor Wembanyama. And we'll get to him a little bit more here in a second, but I just want to focus on the New York Knicks. Karl Anthony Towns in this basketball game was utterly dominant in the first half. He was talking trash. He was physical, driving to the basket, making plays, getting past Victor Wembanyama, really doing he was efficient. He scored 21 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, was a plus 11, best on his team. I love the way he's played. He's been the best player in the series so far throughout the first 2 games. Karl Anthony Towns has really done a great job to change the narrative surrounding his career. And you think back to a lot of things that's been said about Karl Anthony Towns. Jimmy Butler, his own coach, called him soft. The Timberwolves trade him for Julius Randle. And you feel like he's just been a first overall pick that, in some senses people have called disappointing, a bust, certain things like that. He has done so much to change that narrative in this NBA Finals, and you can't say those things about Karl Anthony Towns anymore. Such an impressive basketball game by the big fella. And, the physicality, all that. I was really impressed by Karl Anthony Towns, and he said in his post-game interview that they won this game because they got such a big lead, and he is absolutely correct in that. In the fourth quarter, they blew that lead a little bit, and but because they had such a big lead, it made it to where the Spurs had to play perfect basketball, and they did not do so. And that was really the difference in the basketball game. Karl Anthony Towns was great. Another guy, much maligned for the New York Knicks, trading 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, has 20 points tonight in the NBA Finals. 8 of 13, 4 of 6 from 3. You have to feel like if they are able to win the NBA Finals and Mikal Bridges is able to have big moments, that all of that negativity towards that trade has to go away. And you have to feel like the New York Knicks made the right decision to go out there and get a player, Mikal Bridges, who helped lead them to a championship. Now, again, I know we're only 2 games in to the NBA Finals, so we don't want to jump the gun quite yet, but he did some super nice things. He was really good shooting the basketball, hit some big threes, and he's great on the defensive end of the court. Those guys really stepped up in a big way for the Knicks on a night that Josh Hart gave you 0. Jalen Brunson was 7 of 25 from the field. Excuse me. 7 of 25. OG Annunoby had 17 points. All those guys played a big role, and it's why this Knicks team is so electric. And also because of their coach, Mike Brown, who has done an unbelievable job with this roster. And, it feels very similar to, when the Golden State Warriors, they had Mark Jackson coaching for him, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. They were a good playoff team, but couldn't get over the hump till Steve Kerr came in and took them to that next level. Similarly, this Knicks team had done some nice things. Made the conference finals, I believe, last year. Lost to the Pacers with Tom Thibodeau. Mike Brown comes in, and they're able to take that next step. They make the NBA Finals, and right now they have a 2-0 lead. The Knicks have to feel like they're in an excellent spot. And then Landry Shamet gave you 13 points off the bench. To touch quickly on the San Antonio Spurs and some of the things I'm seeing out of them. Julian Champagnie has started these games. I believe he started game 1 hot as well in the first half. But he had 8 points early in this basketball game. He gave you nothing in the second half. Victor Wembanyama in the first half of this basketball game was 2 of 4. Finished the game with 29 points and 9 rebounds, 4 blocks. So it kind of looks like a good Wemby game. But he's starting these games so shaky. He had that turnover with 10 seconds left that I talked about. But with a minute 36 left, Wemby also took like a corner 3 that he just totally airballed. And I just don't love the shots he's taking. And if he continues those to be the looks that he's getting, now credit to Karl Anthony Towns and his strength and ability to defend Victor Wembanyama and what the Knicks are doing to make it difficult for him. But Wemby had an alley-oop dunk and he had a transition layup. And I'm sitting there wondering, why is he not getting in the paint a little more often? Because he creates such a mismatch if he's able to get down there, even without the basketball. If he sets a screen and just rolls to the basket, there's got to be a few more times a game that he's able to generate some easy looks in the paint, or draw fouls, or get the defense out of position when he's able to get the ball and kick out to a shooter. He's just not doing a good enough job of that, in my opinion. De'Aaron Fox played better in this game. I think he finished with 20. Yeah, 8 of 12 from the field, 20 points. Devin Vassell's okay. Castle okay. Dylan Harper's been really good so far in the NBA Finals in both games. But you just don't feel very good about what you're seeing if you're a San Antonio Spurs fan. And there's so many examples of young players who made great playoff runs and just weren't able to get their team over the what am I trying to say? Over the top in their first run. Particular, you think of LeBron in 2007 when he ran into the San Antonio Spurs and they got swept in the NBA Finals. He was so impressive against the Pistons, scoring 28 straight points or 29 straight points for his team, whatever it was, to win that series. But then he got to the NBA Finals and just didn't play his best basketball. And that's kind of how you feel about the Spurs team. In some senses, they thought they had won the NBA Finals when they took down the Oklahoma City Thunder. You thought that was the best team in basketball. So many people are telling you the Western Conference Finals is the real NBA Finals. Well, they ran into a team in the New York Knicks that are peaked at an unbelievable time. I don't know that I can think of an example of a team that had parts of the season where they were really good. They had a stretch, I think they were 2-9, like January or February. And then they ended the season well, but unbelievable peak in the NBA playoffs. To win 13 straight basketball games is second most all time. I was trying to think back at what the record was. In my head, I want to say 14 because I don't think any team has ever gone 16-0 in the playoffs. I think the Lakers, when they had Shaq and Kobe, lost 1 to Iverson in the finals. The Warriors with Steph and KD, I believe, lost a game. Memory might be incorrect there. But all in all, the New York Knicks are in an excellent spot if they're able to go win Game 3. And this will be all about the San Antonio Spurs' heart. Has it been taken from them? Do they believe that they can come back and win this series? Because if they're at a point where they don't believe anymore that they can beat the New York Knicks, we could see this be a way quicker series than we were expecting. But if the Spurs come out and they show their pride and they play in a big way, they have a chance to steal a game in New York. And if you're able to get it to 3-1, you give yourself a chance to compete for an NBA championship. All in all, if you're the Knicks, you feel excellent about where you are heading forward. You're probably going to be the NBA champions, but we will get to see what happens here in the following games. That's all we got for you tonight. Appreciate y'all watching. We just passed 1,400 subscribers, so if you love the NBA, make sure you take a second to subscribe. Cyborg out.